And hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. We're going to Scenario 2 of the Return to the Night of the Zealot campaign. Couple of housekeeping real quick. If you're your first time doing a live playthrough with Solo Playthroughs, there was a 25-second delay, so you are seeing things 25 seconds after they happen. My wife, Sarah, is gracious enough to woman the chat every time we do these things, which is every other Wednesday at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Be very nice to her. If there is something that you want to put in the chat, again, I'll be busy playing for the most part. I'll try to check in now and again, but she will always bring to my attention anything that I need to know. So any questions, comments, definitely bring them, and it usually works pretty well, even with the delay. So I'll get into what we're doing tonight, but first I did have a couple of comments on my some of my videos in recent weeks asking about storage for this game. If you saw my top 10, I talked about how much shelf space it takes up. So I will go through not all of my Arkham stuff. So I do have all the novellas that have been released so far. They're over there on a shelf, and I have the 5 new investigator decks. I got that shipment last week from my pre-order. They're over there on a shelf. I have not been able to integrate them into my collection yet, but I'll show you kind of how I work this. So I have 2 big card boxes. They both hold 1,650 cards, at least according to their advertisement on Amazon. The one I use just for basically any of the Mythos Pack locations, anything that's never shuffled, I will put in here, right? So I have, this is where I'll put the Night of the Zealot stuff. Then I will put the Dunwich Legacy stuff, the Carcosa stuff, Forgotten Age, and then the Circle Undone. And then I have, Circle Undone, and then Dream Eaters is down here. And then these are all the side scenarios. So again, Rougarou, Carnival, Abyss, Excelsior, Blob, and then the Labyrinth of Lunacy, which is a really interesting side scenario. That I don't play that often, but so these all go in here, and even when I have the return to stuff, if it's not shuffled, I will just intersperse the regular content and return to content for each scenario all through, and all those cards will fit in here. And then I'll use these pouches for, I have my little containers for the Doom tokens, for the resource tokens, and then this is one of you might recognize this. If you own Scythe, you'll recognize these. This is one of those containers that I use for the damage and horror tokens. All right, so then my other card case, try to get that out of the way. Okay, this is where I put all the investigator cards. So I only sleeve up cards when I put them into a deck, which takes a little bit more time for setup, but it works better for me. Plus, sleeved cards don't really fit in this, and also there'd be a lot of money to spend on sleeves, and obviously there are some cards that I just never use very often, so it's just not worth it. So what I have on the top here is these are the level 0 cards for it goes neutral, guardian, seeker, rogue, mystic, survivor, and then the dual class cards I put in the back. You'll see my mystic deck is pretty short right now. I have 2 mystic decks made that are in my return to boxes, which I'll get to. So my mystic cards a lot of them are in use. I have an Akachi deck and a Marie Lambeau deck that is currently part of different campaigns that I'm involved in right now. Here are all the signature cards. So I have all the investigator cards, and then right behind them I have any of their signature assets or events, and then their signature weaknesses, and I store them again the same order. So Lola Hayes obviously is the only neutral investigator, and then after that I have all the guardians, all the seekers, all the rogues, the mystics, and then the survivor class, and I just kind of put them all in one big pile. Down here I have my the weaknesses, all the basic weaknesses. So I just kind of put them in order of, I put them in card number order, and then I put them in order of what set they're from. So these are the Zealot weaknesses, the Dunwich weaknesses, the Return to Dunwich weaknesses, Carcosa, so forth and so on, all the way through the various cycles. I have all my investigator cards loaded up into a plastic bag, only plastic bag I use in all of this. And then I have I printed this off, thanks to my wife's cousin. I borrowed his 3D printer and printed off a roll selector for Lola Hayes, which really does make it a lot easier to play with her. It's a small thing, but I would definitely recommend trying to get something to keep track of your roll if you try to take on the challenge of playing as Lola Hayes, who's good at a lot of things, but great at nothing. So XP cards are down here. Again, neutral, guardian. I mean, same order all the way through mist, all the way through survivor. And I have the XP cards stored in a dual layer of organization. So first I go from least cost of XP, so 1 XP to 5 XP. So least to most XP, and then I go least to most resource cost within that, right? Again, you'll see this collection keeps growing and growing as they continue to release more and more cards, various iterations of different cards. So that is that. And then the rest of the storage is I have all the return to. So here's my return to the Night of the Zealot box. Okay, so here we have the return tos come with nice little dividers, so I use them. All the treachery cards, anything that gets shuffled, I put them in sleeves and then I store them behind the appropriate divider. In the back of my return to box, I just, because they don't have a return to circle undone yet, actually this is Dream Eaters, because they don't have a return to Dream Eaters, I have all the Dream Eaters treachery cards loaded up and ready to go if I want to play a Dream Eaters campaign, which I don't know I'll be playing too much until they fix campaign A, but that's another story altogether. All right. This is my return to Dunwich. I took the box tops off to save some time here. So return to Dunwich, it's the same thing. So I have these are basically, so locked doors, ancient evils, rats. So all the return to the Night of the Zealot treachery cards, all the Night of the Zealot treachery cards that are also used in Dunwich, I'll put them in the front. And then I have all the dividers for each of the different scenarios, 1 through 8 on Dunwich. And in the back, I have all the treachery cards that are unique to Dunwich, and that's a pattern I follow in all the other return to boxes. And then in the back, I have a Kachi deck and some semblance of a Rex deck. Again, I'm going through a playthrough of the Dunwich Legacy campaign right now with Jeff from Boardroom Gamer. So I just kind of keep all that stuff separate. So when I want to finish that campaign with him, I'll be able to just grab that box and I'm good to go. Here is my Carcosa box. Again, same thing. The general treachery cards, and the alternate versions for the return to, the one section for each of the different scenarios in Carcosa, and then in the back I have all of the unique treachery cards for Carcosa. This is just an empty box. I mean, I'll just store my empty card boxes in there, and then I have a Marie Lambeau deck and an alternate Zoe deck. My wife's playing as Zoey Samaras in that campaign, so I have her deck there. And it's one of the nice things of having a bigger collection is I didn't even need to take any of those cards out. Like, did I totally optimize my deck? Maybe I'm a little bit off in 1 or 2 cards, but for the most part, being able to have multiple decks built at once without having to pillage a ready-made deck is really nice if you like to play this game a lot. And then finally, here is the Return to Forgotten Age box. Have not experimented with Return to Forgotten Age yet. Really excited to. I will probably, with a friend of mine, I think we're looking at just taking the new Investigator decks and giving it a run through Return to Forgotten Age. Again, this is my favorite campaign, probably the most divisive campaign, but I really love it. And then that was the last return to. And then for Circle Undone, I have all my Circle Undone cards in this monster box. It stores sleeve cards really well. So I have anything that needs to be shuffled that is put in here. So I have each scenario I just have here. So these are all the scenario specific cards, and then the general treachery cards and encounter sets are over here. And then I store extra unopened packs of card sleeves in here as well to kind of fill it out and make sure the cards don't have too much room to breathe and get a little bent in there. So that is Arkham, at least how I store Arkham. It works for me. I mean, final pieces, I have all my extra, I've put obviously the plastic cases on all of my chaos tokens. I have to store them in this. I made that, I think, when I was in 4th grade. So why I still have it, I don't know, but it stores chaos tokens really well. So I just keep that somewhere near my gaming table, and then this is where I store all of the paperwork, all the instructions for the various Mythos packs and the deluxe expansions. I got my rules reference here. The Learn to Play guide is all in here, and it just works well. And then I have all like the little packs for the side scenarios just kind of shoved in here as well. So, it works. I mean, I will see. You know I'm going to be on board for Innsmouth. I think I'm getting to a place where I might be calling my Arkham collection a wrap right now. But we'll see. You know how Innsmouth kind of feels to me. But you know it works. I mean, storage solutions for this game. It's the investment of getting all the content is one thing, and then you have to do the investment of getting the things to store the content in a way that you can actually bring it to the table quicker. So it's definitely not for everybody, and I totally get that. All right, this is just another deck box I have extra card sleeves in case I need them. So, Return to the Night of the Zealot Midnight Mask Scenario 2 with Zoey Samaras. So what I've decided is I didn't want to do 3 scenarios in a row with replacement Roland. I did end up finishing off that campaign. Again, we got 7 XP in that first scenario. I did fairly well in the Return to Midnight Mask, and then just got thoroughly trounced in 3 separate attempts at doing Return to the Devourer below, which I think is one of the most broken scenarios in all of Arkham. But that's a whole other story. We'll talk about that next time. Midnight Masks. So while I love Return to the Gathering, I think it was a vast improvement over the regular Gathering. Return to Midnight Mask is kind of a neutral. It's more of a lateral switch for me. I don't think it makes it better. I don't think it makes it worse. It does add more variance. There are more mechanics that will be adding Doom quickly, so you might have a much shorter game than you would want. And this is a game that the action economy is so tight, right? In most scenarios, anyway. When all of a sudden you're adding 3 or 4 Doom and you've just lost 4 rounds, well, you're not going to do that well if that's the case. So Midnight Mask is generally considered one of the best scenarios in Arkham, and I think Return 2 does keep true to that. It adds more variety. I think for future, the way I want to use the Return 2 cards is I want to start interlacing. So if there's there's an alternate. The Dark Cult is now, you're supposed to take the Dark Cult out, which is a Return to Night of the Zealot card encounter set, and you're supposed to replace that with the Devourer's Cult encounter set, which is much more punishing. I think in the future I'm probably just going to start taking, shuffle those 12 cards together from both sets and just take 6, and that's one of the things they recommend that you can do with the Return 2s, and I really like that idea. I think it will help kind of keep more interest and keep things a little bit less from getting crazy to the negative or the positive, the way that they can with some of the changes they made with these encounter sets. All right, so the encounter deck for so I'll finish my thought from before. So so I didn't want to do Roland 3 times. So what I've decided to do is I'm just going to go through the various Guardian characters, or at least the first 3 Guardian class characters, investigators, and I'm going to have Mark Harrigan do scenario 3, and that's probably going to be in 6 weeks. So not the next 2 live playthroughs, but my 3rd live playthrough from today. I'll do Mark Harrigan and the Devourer below. So let's just kind of, while this is set up here, we'll kind of do some of that setup, and then I'll kind of talk through Zoey's deck here. So the encounter sets here, again, they can be pretty brutal. The Devourer's Cult encounter set loves Doom. And there is 1 card in here, like the Corpse Taker or whatever, that could totally break the game to the negative. And I don't mean break and like it's ruined. It just means that it could really make a scenario that's going well all of a sudden to be like, oh, I'm in trouble. So you have that. There are 2 new Midnight Masks treachery cards that are added. The Masked Horrors. They also can add Doom or give you horror. Obviously, I'm Zoey Samaras. I only have 6 sanity, so 2 horror is not great. You'll recognize the locked doors. They'll recognize the 5 Midnight Mask treachery cards from the original game. Those are still included. You have the Chilling Cold encounter set. So again, having a cheap asset lying around is always a good idea. The Night Gaunt encounter set. The Night Gaunts are brutal. I never understood why the Night Gaunts aren't victory points, because I just find them one of the most difficult monsters to deal with, relative to the fact that it's not a victory point. If it's a victory point, I'm like, all right, at least I get some experience out of this, but this can really crush you. They're hard to evade. They have 4 health. They have 3 combat. So, I mean, if you're not set up to deal with them, it can really, really derail an otherwise good scenario. What else could be in here? I think that's it. So those are all the encounter sets. So we talk through them. We'll kind of see them come out. The big changes from the regular Midnight Mask is that you just take out the Dark Cult and you replace it with the Devourer's Cult, again, which is a pretty significantly the degree of difficulty went up. So I'm going to add the scenario card screen here. Cool. So we got that. We are going to put the agenda and the act right below this. So this is Agenda 2, Act 1. They are both from the regular Midnight Mass scenario, and I'm going to randomly add an Agenda 1. Now, this isn't a surprise. I mean, if you've never played Midnight Mask, spoiler alert, but there's an enemy on the back of this. And what the Return to has done is that it's randomized the enemy. So it could be the Masked Hunter, who you're used to, or it could be another one who, in some ways is harder, some ways is easier. It just kind of depends on how you're set up. So I just sleeve them up, make sure I really have no idea which is which. They're both cut really similar, so it's impossible to see who is who. I'm going to roll a die here. I rolled a 3. My wife just sneezed if you heard that. God bless you, Sarah. And we're going to put this on the board. So we have Agenda 1 in place, and we know that in 6th Doom, when we reach the Doom threshold, that's going to come over, and we're going to have a new friend to deal with. Right? There's also a ton of randomization with the locations. Now, here's my house. You all told me to burn down my house, so my house is gone, except for one of you. Everyone else, arsonists. We have the graveyard. We have East End. I'm gonna start just randomizing these. I've shuffled them before. I really don't know which is which. So I rolled a 4, so we'll take the second one. And then we have South Side. We have 2 of these. I'm gonna roll. I rolled a 1, so we're taking the first one. We have Rivertown. I rolled a 4. We'll take the second one. We have Downtown. It's a 3. We'll take the first one. North Side. It's a 2. Take the first one. Miskatonic University. 4. Take the second one. So those are all set. And we do not. There's only one version of the St. Mary's Hospital, and there's only one version of the graveyard. The locations are pretty straightforward, except if you're new to the game, it might take a little bit to realize that St. Mary's Hospital is only connected to Southside and Miskatonic University, so you cannot go from Rivertown to St. Mary's Hospital. It's just kind of like a little excursion here, and there's a similar longer excursion up top that you can go from Rivertown to Miskatonic University, but Northside's only connected to Miskatonic University and Downtown. These 3 up here are connected, so Downtown's only connected to the things adjacent to it to the left and the right. And then Easttown is connected to Rivertown, so that's a loop. And then you have the graveyard, which is only connected to Rivertown. So that's your only way in or out of the graveyard is through Rivertown. We have my chaos bag, and there's 16 chaos tokens, same chaos bag as last time. There was no edits. And now we'll talk about Zoey. So before I forget, I did burn down my house, so I will have to take a horror. So I'm going to put that there before I forget about that. So Zoey is one of my favorite characters. I think her asset of Zoey's Cross is probably the strongest asset in the game. Not counting Duke. I mean, Duke's kind of a separate thing altogether, right? So if we're gonna take Duke out for Ash Can Pete, we're just looking at assets. Zoey's Cross, there really are 2 different scenarios with Zoey. There are ones where you get Zoey's Cross early, and there's ones where you don't. Where you get Zoey's Cross early, especially with these 1 health enemies, oh, it's so amazing just how much easier things can get. So, I tend to do a deeper mulligan with Zoey unless I'm really in love with the cards that I get. Zoey is a chef. She's a little bit of a religious zealot. So we got Lita. We got two zealots in the house tonight. We got Lita and we got Zoey. Zoey's story. If you ever get the tabletop, the coffee table book for Arkham investigators, the story for Zoey is crazy. I love that book, by the way. It's so interesting. It's like snippets for all the investigators. I think it's some fascinating backstory that it gives you. So, I'll just read the one sentence here. Zoey had known that she was special ever since God spoke to her one night when she was 6 years old. Went from there, and now she's just on a mission to use her butcher's knife, I guess, and whatever other assorted weapon she can get to start cutting through some enemies. So let's see how much of that we can do today. Her special ability is easy, and it's great for Guardian class. After you become engaged with an enemy, you gain a resource. And then you have, as I said, Zoey's Cross. After you become engaged, and after an enemy becomes engaged with you, you exhaust the cross, spend a resource, and do 1 damage. So that's a really nice interplay where it's like you get the resource, you spend it immediately, 1 damage, boom. That could really add up over the course of a scenario, especially with the return twos, with how many enemies there really are. Her stat line is a 4 willpower, a 2 intellect, a 4 combat, and a 2 agility. So obviously that 2 intellect is a problem. So when you're playing true solo, you do have to deck build to make sure that you have a way to get clues here and there. And you'll see that in how I built this deck. The random basic weakness I drew was through the gates. This was actually from a Return to Dunwich, the Return to Dunwich set. So if I pull this, we'll explain how that works. And again, I have Lita. So these are all the story assets and the character-specific assets. Now, how did I build this deck? So I will start in Rivertown. Again, you would start in the house, but the house is burned down. So this is actually the Rivertown from the Return to set. It is a shroud value of 4 and a clue value of 1. And then as a special, as an action, you can discard a card with X willpower icons and remove X doom from a cultist enemy in play. Group limit once per game. That can be a fairly useful mechanic if you're at Rivertown at the right time, but you also need to have the right card in your hand, right? So that's not always the easiest thing to all that to come together. Rivertown's flavor text: the banks of the Miskatonic River are lined with docks, warehouses, and small shops in a district aptly named Rivertown. The lone warehouse next to the river is quiet and secluded, an ideal venue for unsavory dealings. All right, sounds good to me. And I'm trying to get a hair off the board here.
Eric is a fan of Zoey.
She's got a holy machete. I do not have a machete in my deck, but yeah, she's pretty amazing. I got an Enchanted Blade. Who needs a machete when you got an Enchanted Blade? Cool. So how did I build this deck? So here's the neutral cards I have. Now remember, the deck building for Zoey is that she has access to level 0 through 5 Guardian cards. She has access to level 0 through 5 Mystic, neutral cards, and she has access to 5 level 0 cards of any class. So it's a nice splash, right, is what they call it in the Arkham circles. So I'll kind of go through my splash as a separate thing. And then I'll talk about how I spent my 7 XP. Because basically I took the 7 XP that we earned as Roland, and I just carried it over. Now I did last night. I played the Return to the Gathering with Zoey and got 8 XP. But I'm gonna go with the story we built together because it's special. So we have our 4 neutral cards. I have my emergency catch, a knife, a flashlight, and fine clothes. These are the Guardian assets I'm taking. Again, I have the Guard Dog and Beat Cop. I got rid of the 3rd ally I had and Return to the Gathering because we have Lita, so having more, unless you have Charisma, having more than 3 allies is probably a bad idea. I have 3 weapons from the Guardian class. Well, one is a dual color, so we got the Enchanted Blade, the 45 automatic, and the Survival Knife. And then I have something worth fighting for, which is a nice Horror Soak, which, again, when you're a Guardian, often you will want that. I do have a bunch of skill cards again. Again, not failing tests is a really helpful way to win in Arkham, newsflash. So I have 2 copies of Take the Initiative, 1 copy of Daring, 1 copy of Steadfast, and 1 copy of Vicious Blow. That's from an optimization standpoint. If I did want to pillage the other Zoey deck I had built for Sarah, I probably would take the other Vicious Blow. And then I have 3 neutral skill cards. I have Unexpected Courage, Guts, and Perception.
Let your fans know what's up with Jagged Earth.
What's up with Jagged Earth? Oh yeah, no. Hey, what's up, Steven? I got I had a copy of scenario of Jagged Earth up on the channel on Sunday. Man, I did a Stones Unyielding Defiance against level 3 Habsburg. It's cool. It's real cool. Definitely. I'm a huge fan. I love it. I think they did a really, really good job with that expansion. It's one of my favorite expansions, and the value for what you get with that expansion is just bananas. All right, events. I got prepared for the worst in case I get to a place and I just don't have a weapon. Worst case scenario, I can use it for its icons. We have a dodge, an evidence, and a scene of the crime. So this is where you start seeing me holding up with cards that will give me free clues. So scene of the crime and evidence will help me there. My splash. So we'll talk about 4 of them. I got Drawn to the Flame. Again, 2 clues. I got Looked What I Found. If you fail a skill test while investigating by 2 or less, 2 clues. I have Working a Hunch. Pay 2, get a clue. So these are the things I'm worried about when I'm building Zoey. My splash is all trying to make sure that I get clues. If you don't get clues in Arkham, you don't win, period. So let's try to rectify that. And then Gravedigger Shovel. Oh, what? No, this is right. Sorry, it looked like I got the upgraded Gravedigger Shovel for a second. This is the way that a light hit a mark here. No, so that's a level 0 Gravedigger Shovel. It gives you +2 fight for an attack, which is nice. Gives me another weapon. There's a bunch of 1 health enemies in here, so this can be a really nice way. It will boost me up to a 6, right? But when I really need a clue, I can discard this and get the clue as well. So a nice it's good. That's such a survivor card, right? It just the multi dimensions to the survivor cards are so cool. Now, what's my last level 0 card? Elusive. So elusive I'm talking about separately. Why? Well, elusive's on the taboo list. So elusive now, if you want to add it to your deck, it costs 2 XP. So I did spend 2 XP on elusive. Now, how does that work? It's still a level 0 card, so you can still get it. Same with machete. So if you're playing I don't know if you're playing Jim Culver, you can take machete if you want, even though it costs 2 XP, because it's still a level 0 card. So I really like how they did the taboo list in a way, and it probably saved them the trouble of having to reprint cards, and people would have been really upset, in that sense. So it's like, hey, no, it's still a level 0 card, but you just have to spend XP to get it. So I can totally include this as my splash, even though it's a rogue card. Now, why elusive? Elusive is one of the strongest cards in the game. When it was on the nerf list, it did not shock me at all. The number of things that you can do so if you're engaged with 2 enemies, you disengage from them both and go wherever you want that's revealed that doesn't have an enemy. It's such a scenario changer in the right moment. It's a fast action too. So it costs 2, it's fast, and you can do all those things. I mean, it's basically like it could be as many as 5, depending on where you move to. 5, 6, 7 actions in 1 card for only 2 resources. Such a really big card. So spending 2 XP on that was a no-brainer.
Dave Roll is wondering why you didn't go with right.
Rite of Seeking. Drawn to the Flame? I think you mean Drawn to the Flame. Oh, Rite of Seeking. Oh, you mean... Oh, no. I don't like Rite of Seeking. In the sense of... I don't think it's efficient for true solo as much, because there's often only 1 clue in a location. And the fact that it could end your turn immediately is bad. But with Zoey, if you're going to make an argument to put it in anyone's deck, I do agree with Dave that it could actually... work very well for Zoey, because she starts with that 4 willpower. But remember, you can't ever get the boosted versions of it, so you are when you're spending a lot of your willpower icons to boost her, depending on, like, if you're at a 4 shroud, well, now you have to spend willpower icons just to get that investigate, and hope you don't pick bad that ends your turn immediately, or you're only doing it on your last action, right? So there's a lot of problems with Rite of Seeking in a true solo scenario. I just don't find it that worth it. And your willpower icons, there's so many other treacheries that are going after your willpower that often I'm trying to avoid horror that I want to have those willpower icons to do those other tests that are going to require the willpower icons to be used. The 5 XP I spent left, because I spent 2 of my 7 XP on elusive. The other 5 I spent, I got the upgraded version of Dynamite Blast. Now this is a card from the Return to the Night of Zealot deck, and I'm laughing because this is one of the... I resisted buying Return to the Night of Zealot for a while. I'm really glad I bought it, but this is one of the reasons I really wanted this card. So, it's so amazing. It's so much better than the regular Dynamite Blast for a couple of reasons, and I'll talk about that if we see that during this playthrough. I've had worse. Now this is from the Circle Undone expansion or cycle. I love this card. So there is a 4 XP I've had worse, which I don't find all that useful. And what I've had worse does is it allows you to cancel damage and or horror when it's dealt to you, and you get a corresponding number of resources. The problem with the boosted I've had worse, which is a 4 XP. 4 XP is a lot, number 1. Number 2, there's not that many times that you're getting dinged for 4 damage and or horror at once. This is only 2, so you can cancel 2 damage and or horror and get 2 resources. It's it's a fast action. It doesn't cost anything. It's great. It's a great card. So for 2 resources, especially when as a guardian, I'm always worried about resources and making sure I have the resources I need. Love that card. And then Ever Vigilant. Ever Vigilant is kind of an auto add for me. It's a 1 XP card. It's an event, 1 at a time. Play up to 3 assets from your hand, reducing the resource cost of each by 1. Amazing. So if you have 3 assets in your hand and you play this, not only are you playing 3 assets during 1 action, so you're saving 2 actions, right? You are getting to save up to 3 money too, because you're reducing the cost of each asset by 1 as you play them. Very cool card. And if it's in my starting hand, that's great. And even if it only gets 2 assets out, that still saves me 2 money and an action. So there's a lot of economy built into this card, both from an action standpoint and a resource standpoint. So I do think this is kind of an auto add if you know, you get that 1 extra XP and you don't have anything else to spend it on. So that's that. So I did separate out my skills and whatever. So I'm going to pile shuffle this. You saw the encounter cards. I always pile shuffle the encounter cards the first time I go through a scenario, just to try to make sure it's really nice and random. But they were already mixed up pretty good, so we shall do this. All right, now one extra bit of setup for the return to. So Night of the Zealot, Midnight Mask. There are 5 cultists in Untitled cult. The return to adds 3 additional ones that are into the mix. Now you still only use 5. Again, there's 6 cultists that you're looking for and trying to interrogate. Now we know one's hidden under the agenda deck, right? Spoiler alert, take 2. But now we have to get the other 5 in play. So these are my Untitled cult. They're all mixed up. So I have, again, 3 of these are from the return to, 5 are the original 5. So I'm just going to roll an 8-sided die and get rid of 3 of these. So I rolled a 5. So we will take out number 5. I'm going to roll again. I rolled a 1. We'll take out number 1, and then I'm going to roll a 6-sided die to take out the 3rd one. I rolled a 3, so we are left with our 5 members of the cult that we are going to have to find by getting clues, and then we will have to either parlay them and defeat them that way, or we will have to destroy them through various illicit means of savagery. with Zoey is probably more likely. All right. What is happening? So I'm going to put this die over here. Cool. I need to draw my opening hand. I think that's it. Anything in the chat? Ever vigilant? Not a strong card in the game, but it's very good. It's very good. The problem with Ever Vigilant, if you only pick 1 asset, then you get into this place where you're trying to pick more assets, and it can almost like derail what you're trying to do. But it's a really strong card. I mean, that is no doubt. All right, I am picking 5 cards. I get my guard dog. Happy to see that. I get my dynamite blast. I'll probably put that back. It's a little early for that. Working a hunch through the gates. So we got a weakness. I will just set that aside. We have a knife, and we have take the initiative. Now I did not get Zoey's cross, so that makes me sad. Get rid of take the initiative. I'll probably keep working a hunch. I don't love it because it costs 2. So I'm going to be spending 4 resources for guard dog and knife, but I have to make sure I'm getting clues early. So I'm going to put back dynamite blast. I'm tempted to throw back the knife, to be honest with you, because I just have so many other weapons in there. But it's a cheap asset in case I don't want my guard dog to get thrown into the wind if I pick up chilling cold. So I will keep the knife. I'm really on the fence about that one, but I'll for the sake of moving us along. So I'm gonna mulligan these 2. Again, the weakness is just set aside, and now I'm drawing 2 new cards, and I would love to get Ever Vigilant and Zoey's Cross. We get prepared for the worst, and we got a weakness, Smite the Wicked. That is Zoey's signature's weakness, and we have Steadfast. All right, so we'll shuffle these in. I might actually use Prepared for the Worst. I wish Prepared for the Worst allowed you to get Zoey's Cross, but obviously Zoey's Cross was not considered a weapon. It would be really nice if it was. So what do we want to do? Could go there. Some of this, again, when you get to the return twos, you do want to draw on your knowledge of this scenario, right? It's harder for a reason. They made it a lot harder in a way. The Devourer cult scenario encounter set is like, yeah, it's harder. So I have 2 options here. I know if I go to South Side, I can draw 3 cards once a game if it's that South Side. And I know if I go to East Town, I might have the chance to play an ally asset for 2 less if it's that East Town, right? So it's all random, so it kind of balances out that way. I think it does make some sense to see what's going on with East Town, Downtown, and North Side, as the first course of action. The other opportunity is I know that this is a one shroud location in the graveyard. So the other argument is I go there, try to get those 2 clues real quick, and then move on. But I'm not set up to do it, and I really don't want to be testing a 2 to a 1 and then fail, and then all of a sudden I just wasted my first round. So I am going to leave that clue there. I'm going to move to Easttown. It is not the one that allows you to spend 2 less for an ally, which is unfortunate. It has a shroud value of 2. It has a clue value of 2 per investigator, so 2. Shroud value of 4, clue value of 2. The Easttown neighborhood, situated on the northern banks of the Miskatonic, contains lower class houses, the Arkham police station, and popular eateries like Velma's Diner. You doubt that Sheriff Engel will believe your story, but you might be able to convince some of the other officers to assist in your investigation. Yeah, I mean, this crazed woman with a butcher's knife walks in covered in blood. I'm sure the officers are going to be really excited to see her. That's kind of gross. I'm just going to put some stuff in play. So I'm going to play the guard dog, and I'm going to play the knife with my last 2 actions. And that's going to cost me a combined total of 4 resources. All right, the enemy phase, there are no enemies. Upkeep phase, I'm drawing a card. I get Vicious Blow. It's fine, and I will also get 1 resource, so I am up to 2. We are going to go to the Mythos phase. We're putting the first Doom on the agenda. Doom threshold is 6, so we're pretty far away. And we're going to take the top encounter deck card. It is Hunting Shadow. You must either choose 1, spend 1 clue, or take 2 damage. Well, I don't have a clue to spend, so I must take 2 damage. Dunskies. All right, not the worst encounter card to start the game, that is for sure. Now, how am I getting clues is the $1,000,000 question. Now I'm kind of tempted to go to the graveyard, maybe. All right, let me go to downtown, see what this is. This is the version of downtown I didn't want. 1 version allows you to get 3 resources once a game, and 1 allows you to heal 3 horror once a game. So I was hoping to maybe get some 3 resources. So striking out like crazy here. This is the version from. So this is the Return to Easttown, and this is the. I think actually the original. I'm sorry. Yeah, this Return to Easttown. The original Midnight Mask had 2 versions of downtown. 1 was the bank. 1 was Arkham Asylum. So I ended up with Arkham Asylum. The flavor text on here says the downtown area of Arkham is filled with government buildings, including City Hall, the first bank of Arkham, Independence Square, and Arkham Asylum, because everybody wants Arkham Asylum. Wants the asylum right next to the city town hall. An Arkham Asylum can also be found in this area. It is the busiest district in the city. A refuge for the mind or a prison of the soul? It's a good question. The centrality of the Arkham Asylum to the Arkham universe is so fascinating the more you kind of learn about the mythos here. The problem with this is that I have 3 locations that I've revealed, and all of them have a shroud value of 4, which is so ridiculous that I'm regretting not going to the graveyard. And I only have Working a Hunch, which is going to get me 1 clue, but getting just the 1 instead of both is really not going to be all that helpful. My second action, I'm going to move to north side. Let's see what's going on over here. All right, we have a shroud value of 2 and a clue value of 1. It has a action on it, so it has moved to any Arkham location. This is from the Return to, limit once per game. Northside is a commercial district that contains many offices and factories, as well as the train station. The train has many stops throughout Arkham and many more beyond. You are tempted to leave all of this behind. Now, I'm going to have to choose at some point to try to get a little lucky here because I need clues and I need them bad. So I'm going to commit Prepare for the Worst. And it's going to be a 3 to a 2. I'm going to try to say Working a Hunch for a higher shroud value. 3 to a 2. Because that's the shroud value. Is that correct? Yep. I pulled a -1. Cool. So glad I committed that. I got my clue. That is 3 actions. So I can use Working a Hunch, get another clue, and then we could be on our way to putting a cultist on the board from this special deck over here. All right, enemy phase. No enemies. Upkeep phase. I am drawing a card. Take the initiative. Like to see that. And we are taking a resource. So we are up to 3. Mythos phase, we're putting the second Doom on the agenda. We're drawing in a counter card, and we got Crypt Chill. Exactly why I put the knife in play. And now I'm wishing I had to prepare for the worst so I can find another weapon, but we shall make do, because I am probably failing this. I don't really want to commit Steadfast to this right now. Just seems like a waste of that card, although I have no other weapons. Alright, so Steadfast is a circle and none card. While you have 5 or more total health and sanity, Steadfast gains a willpower icon and a combat icon. While you have 10 or more total remaining health and sanity, it gains 2 of each instead. There's a fine line between bravery and foolishness. I think I will try to pass this. So I can commit Steadfast while I'm not battered up yet. I have a total remaining health of 7. I have a total remaining sanity of 5, so that's 12. So that is more than 10. So I will get the 2 icons added to this, in addition to the one it already has. So that is going to boost my willpower stat from a 4 up to a 7. And I'm testing Crypt Chill, which is a 4. So 7 to a 4, just basically trying to save my knife here. And what do we get? -1. Cool. So Crypt Chill is done. Glad I committed the card. And we'll go from there. So we need to... I'm going to go to Miskatonic University. Miskatonic University is one of the most prestigious colleges in the Northeast. The university library is famous for its collection of occult books maintained by the esteemed Dr. Henry Armitage. The campus is quiet and lonely. Several of the buildings have been left unlocked for students and faculty working late into the night. Shroud value 4, clue value 2. So again, we have another shroud value 4 location, and that's not great. But we, again, I have enough cards that will allow me to get a clue here or there. I just need to start getting them, but I also need to get my weapons. So not getting the greatest draw by getting so many skill cards early. I wish kind of things were reversed than what's going on here. But let's get another clue. So I'm playing Working a Hunch. It costs me 2 resources. It is a fast card. Play only during your turn. It is my turn. Discover 1 clue at my location. All right, so I've used 1 action to move down here. This was a fast action, so I still have 2 more actions. And now, I didn't read the agenda or the act, so let me kind of rectify that real quick. Agenda 1, Predator or Prey. Lita seems convinced of a conspiracy within the city of Arkham. She believes that a secret cult serves the ghouls that live in the crypts beneath the city, and that several of the cult's prominent members are scattered throughout Arkham. As you begin searching for them, you can't shake the feeling that you too are being hunted. There is a resign ability on that card. We will want to use a resign ability before this scenario ends. We are unlikely to be getting all 6 cultists today. Newsflash. Act 1, Uncovering the Conspiracy. You have 1 night to find the members of this cult and unveil their plan. The more members of the cult you can find and interrogate before midnight, the better. There is an action on here. Investigators can spend 2 clues per investigator. As a group, draw the top card of the cultist deck. And they could be anywhere. So if you're in a multi-way game, if you have 4 clues, I could have 3, Sarah could have 1. We could be on 2 different locations. We could spend the 4, and we get a cultist off of this deck here. So the objective is to find as many unique cultist enemies as you can and add them to the victory display. If there are 6 unique cultist enemies in the victory display, advance. Not all of them are in the cultist deck. I wonder where the 6th one is. So I'm using that action on the act to spend these 2 clues. When you're Zoey, or most classes, there are so many treacheries that will try to get clues out of your collection, and they're so hard to get when you're a guardian that just you want to spend them as soon as you have to. So I prefer to always have 0. Now there's 1 new treachery that can make things a little worse if you do that, but it's for me, I always err on the side of doing that 2 clue action as soon as I can. So this is my second action. I'm going to spend those 2 clues, and I'm going to take a random cultist from this deck. I rolled a 5, so we're going to take the 1 over here, and we get Herman Collins. The Undertaker. The Undertaker is a local graveyard. In the local graveyard has been digging strange tunnels underneath the mausoleum. But for what purpose? He's a victory point. He is a very attractive man. He has a combat value of 3, a health of 4, and an agility, evade value of 4. He spawns in the graveyard. You have 2 options of defeating him. So I can give him 4 damage and defeat him that way, or I can choose and discard 4 cards from my hand. That's not happening. To parlay him to add Herman Collins to the victory display. So it does make me happy. I didn't go to the graveyard first because having to go there twice would have been really inefficient. Although what I did up here wasn't exactly the most efficient use of my time either. But that is fine. So we have done 2 actions. I have 1 remaining action. I'm going to move to Rivertown. Yeah, I think it makes sense because if I go here, I can kill Herman. Between the guard dog and the knife, that shouldn't be that hard. I have Vicious Blow too if I really want to. Hopefully I can pick up another weapon and I can just discard the knife at him. I can get these 2 clues fairly easily because it's a Shroud value of 1. Knock on wood here, and then I could put another cultist in play and maybe even do that before we hit the Doom threshold.
Gamer popped in.
Yeah. What's up, man? How are you doing, Jeff? Cool. So I'm using my 3rd action to move to Rivertown. All right, so enemy phase. He is not a hunter, so Herman was just going to chill, doing what he does in the graveyard. And then we are going to the upkeep phase. I am drawing a card. I get Scene of the Crime. I like that. Huh. Be a little wasteful to use Scene of the Crime in the graveyard when it's only a Shroud value of 1, but from an action economy standpoint, I might do just that. All right, that's fine. So, and I'm going to take a resource. Let's be realistic here. So, in a return to, even forget return to, for normal Midnight Masks, I have played this scenario a ton. I can remember 3 times where I've gotten all 6 cultists. So, it's really, really hard to do. One, I was playing true solo as Roland Banks, which you can see that dynamic, right? The synergy of him being able to, kill an enemy, get a clue, then you get another clue. Like, there's a lot that works well with Roland Banks in this scenario. The other time I interrogated all 6 cultists most recently was with Sarah, who has the most insane run of luck in this game I've ever seen. So she balanced out my awfulness. So we're good. So it's really hard to do. In a return to true solo with Zoey, if I can get 4 cultists, that's amazing. I will probably end up with 2 or 3. I'm hoping for 4. That actually will put me in a really good spot for the Devourer below. All right. Enough said. So I've done my 3 actions. I took my card, I grabbed my resource, and now we are going to the Mythos phase. We're putting the 3rd Doom on the agenda, and we are grabbing the top encounter card. It is Hunting Shadow. We get this again. You must either spend 1 clue or take 2 damage. Well, I guess I'm taking 2 damage again because I spent my clues. And I'm going to put 1 on me, and I am going to put 1 on the guard dog, which I know is a little inefficient because but I do, ideally with the Beat Cop and Lita, I'm going to want to get 1 of them in play. I mean, the guard dog is not meant to be there forever. I mean, if I pick up Lita's, her horror soak is so great. Plus, she's a beast against monsters. So if I pick up Lita, that extra damage that you do to monsters makes her a must play. I mean, the Night Gaunts are monsters, and then one of the cultists is also a monster. If you get this guy here would be a monster if we get the non-masked hunter version of Agenda 1. So we have done the Mythos phase. We are now going to the investigation phase. So play only as your first action. So one of the things I'm considering right now is if I go in here, I can attack him. He's got 4 health. Start my next turn there, get those 2 clues. I think that makes some sense. Again, it's only a Shroud value of 1, but it is what it is. Completed. Definitely don't want the horror. All right. That's my combat's a 5. Herman is a 3. I have Vicious Blow. All right, I think this will work, and hopefully again I need to get another weapon before we get more of these bad boys out here. So I'm moving into the graveyard. Now, the graveyard says, the graveyard lies at the foot of French Hill. Some of the headstones date back to the 17th century, when the earliest colonists came to Arkham. Considering what happened in your house, you're not completely keen on heading there. Flip it over. There is a Shroud value 1. Shocker, who knew? Clue value of 2 per investigator, so 2. Forced after you enter the graveyard. You will test 3 willpower. If you fail, you must either take 2 horror or move to Rivertown. Well, that's not fun. So I'm not officially there yet. I do want to avoid that 2 horror because I do not have any kind of soak in play. Take the initiative is so strong though. And I'm going to commit it. That's fine. So take the initiative. It is a Forgotten Age card. Commit only to a skill test you are performing. Take the initiative. Loses 1 wild icon for each action that has been completed by any investigator this phase. Now obviously that is 0. I'm still in the middle of my move action. It's not completed yet. So I get all 3 of those icons. So I'm committing that. I'm getting a 7 to a 3 to try to basically avoid 2 horror. There we go. Skull. Skull is minus X. X is the highest number of doom on a cultist enemy in play. That is 0, so we are good. So I have passed that test. And so obviously I didn't, that's the first time I didn't need to commit a card. I would have passed with a 4 to a 3 if I didn't commit it. And now Herman Collins engages with me. Now, this doesn't work with massive enemies because engagement gets weird with massive enemies, but like you still fight them as if you're engaged to them, but you're not, like, they don't actually go into your threat area. Like, it's a very strange thing. But anytime an enemy moves from the board to your threat area, you now trigger your special ability. So after you become engaged with an investigator, you gain a resource. Thank you. Zoey's ability will be helpful. So I have 2 actions left. I want to fight with the knife. We'll probably hold on to Vicious Blow, and let me see how this goes. So he doesn't have Retaliate, so if I fail, that's fine. I'm going to use both these actions to fight just with the knife. So I'm doing, I get a +1 for this attack, so the 4 plus the 1 with the knife. So I'm doing a 5 to a 3 for 1 damage. And I got, oh! Alright, the Elder Sign effect for Zoey. If this skill test is successful during an attack, that attack deals +1 damage. I think I did 5 like run-throughs of this to get ready for tonight. I didn't pull that during an attack once, so and remember I pulled good early last scenario, and then we remember how that played out. And I still won, but still. Alright, so that's 2 damage, which is really nuts. Nah, I'm the, oh, man. The crazy thing, if he goes away, then I can't play Scene of the Crime because he won't. I can, but it doesn't count for 2. So Scene of the Crime is a Forgotten Age card. You play only as your first action, discover 1 clue at your location, or 2 if there's an enemy. But there's a good chance Herman's not going to survive with that magical pull. So let's see what happens now. So my last action, I'm doing a 5 to a 3 again with the knife. I pulled on -1, so that's successful. That gives him 3 damage. We get to the enemy phase. Enemy phase, Herman is going to attack. I'm going to put his damage on my guard dog. I'm going to put the sanity on Zoey. And then since I put damage on the guard dog retaliates, and we have now successfully killed Mr. Collins. Alrighty then. So much for Scene of the Crime, but it should come in handy later now, which is fine. We are going to go to the upkeep phase. I'm going to draw a card. It is Perception. I'm going to take a resource. Mythos phase. We're putting the 4th Doom on the agenda. And we're going to draw the top encounter card. It is, oh shoot. It is a Hunting Night Gaunt. I really wish I had Lita in play. I really hate these guys. I really, really hate these guys. I have no other weapons, which is my problem. Because otherwise I would be really tempted to throw the knife at this guy. I can kill off my guard dog and give 1 damage that way, so that's easy. And if I throw the knife and use Vicious Blow, I could use Scene of the Crime, which is not the craziest idea I've had.
There's a comment about the graveyard.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about that. I picked another enemy, so it worked out. I mean, if it was a higher threshold, a higher shroud, I think David's definitely into something. If it was a higher shroud, I probably would have kept him alive for sure. But I just, the way it worked out, I was like, you know what, I can probably investigate that pretty easily anyway, or easily relative to Zoey and her crappy intellect. Oh shoot, did I I did not trigger. I didn't get the resource that I was supposed to. I don't think I got the resource when the hunting night gone engaged with me. If someone saw that I did, let me know. But I'm pretty sure I was so upset that I got distracted. Yeah. Tons of enemies in the return too. I guess in Midnight Masters, there's you got all the cult of the acolytes and all that other stuff in the base set, but we haven't seen the Devourer's cult cards yet, which I'm not that upset about. Although of course they could come out at a much worse time later. So I think I do, just from an action economy standpoint. Let's get those 2 clues. Although it's a little bit wasteful with that strat value being so low. So I'm playing Scene of the Crime. Play only as your first action. Get 2 clues on your location if there's an enemy. And now hopefully I don't pick up anything that makes me lose those clues, because that would be really sad. And because now I have to deal with this jerk. Or oh man, this could be really bad though. Because if I pick up something that puts another doom on if I do what I think I'm gonna do right now, I'm very much leaving myself vulnerable, but I think it just makes sense. So yeah, let's do this. I'm going to commit vicious blow and I'm throwing the knife. I'm gonna put 3 damage on this guy and then just pick up cards, and hopefully I have a round next scenario to pick up cards and get another weapon in play. So I'm doing a 4, 5, 6 because of the knife, 7 because of vicious blow. So I'm doing a 7 to a 3 for 3 damage, because it'd be 2 damage that I threw the knife, and then the 1 damage extra from vicious blow. This would be a really garbage time to pull the tentacles, but that's how I roll. So we'll see. -2. We succeed, so that's 3 damage. And now, to make sure I don't lose these clues in a really awful way, I'm going to do the action on the act to put another cultist in play. And I know it's not going to be Herman Collins, because guess what? He's dead. So the hunting night will take that opportunity to do an attack of opportunity. He's going to assign, I'm going to assign his damage and his horror to my guard dog. The guard dog's going to retaliate, do 1 damage to the hunting night gaunt. Both of them are defeated. The hunting night gaunt is out. And these 2 clues, and then I will carry out the rest of my action. The rest of my action is just put these 2 clues in the supply, and we're going to put another cultist in play. So I'm rolling this die. I rolled a 5. There's only 4 left. I rolled a 1. And who do we get? Wolfman Drew. Okay, I can live with that. So Wolfman Drew spawns in downtown. He's got Drew is a longtime patient in Arkham Asylum. Rumor has it he was locked up for committing cannibalism several years ago. He's considered extremely dangerous, I'd say. He's a combat value of 4, a health of 4, and 2 agility. When Wolfman Drew attacks, you heal damage from him. All right, so we will leave him up there and get to him at some point in the future. That is my 3 actions. I have literally 0 assets in play, which is not an amazing situation, but that's fine. At least we got 2 cultists in play already, and hopefully this doesn't advance, because that would be really bad. So Upkeep Phase, I'm drawing a card. We get a Gravedigger Shovel, so it's another weapon-ish. We're going to get a resource. The Mythos Phase are putting the 5th Doom on the agenda, and now we're drawing. All right, that's fine. This is actually perfect. So the Disciple of the Devourer. So he spawns in the farthest empty location. Now I'm in the graveyard. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So all 3 of these are tied the farthest from me. So I can put him here with Wolfman Drew, which if I got my Dynamite Blast at some point isn't the worst idea. I could put it in St. Mary's Hospital. He only has 1 health. Now, pulling these guys in Agenda 1 isn't the worst. Pulling him in Agenda 2 or 3 can be, or not, there's only two agendas. So pulling Agenda 2 would be worse, because forced, after you spawn Disciple of the Devourer, you must either place 1 Doom on it or place 1 of your clues on its location. If the current agenda is not Agenda 1, do both instead. Placate the beast and we are allowed to live. When we die, we'll feast on our remains. I do think I'm going to hope to get a Dynamite Blast, and I'm going to put the Disciple of the Devourer up here. Now, the nice thing about pulling him now, as opposed to last round, is we put the Doom on him. But again, we don't check the Doom threshold again until the next Mythos phase. So that is cool. He can totally just chill right there. I need to get better cards for sure. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to put the... I have nothing. I'm going to draw a card. Ooh. Pistol will do, I think. Not sure I want to move to Rivertown. I'm going to draw a card. Flashlight is useless. And I'm going to put... I need something that's doing chunk damage. And this, the Gravedigger Shovel, only does 1. So it does... Gravedigger Shovel does give you +2 to combat, and automatic only gives you +1, which I find so annoying. The upgraded automatic does give you +2, but again, I think it's 2 XP, which I just didn't have lying around. So I'm going to put the automatic in play with my 4 resources, and I'm going to put the 4 ammo onto it. That's fine. Enemy phase, enemies are just chilling. Upkeep phase, I'm drawing a card. There's the Enchanted Blade. That would have been better. And we're going to take a resource. Mythos phase. We're putting the 6th Doom on the agenda. That is the 7th Doom in play. All Doom in play gets removed. And then we are going to flip this and find out, who are you? It is the Masked Hunter, which is fine. The other one is, what's his name? Narragoth or something? It is Narragoth. So he has 1 extra health, but his combat is only a 3 instead of a 4. He does some things. He's a monster, which again, if you have Lita in play, you'd much rather see him because you can do the chunk damage that way. But we will make do with the Masked Hunter. So again, the Masked Hunter spawns engaged with prey. Prey is most clues. He's a hunter. He does not have retaliate, which is nice. The Masked Hunter gains +2 health per investigator. So he comes in with a 6 health. Now, one of the things that always kind of tilts me about Arkham is they don't put that asterisk when there's anything that augments health. I don't know why they do that. It's a mechanic they do a lot in future cycles. But I just put a die up there just to remind me that, again, it's 6 health, not just a 4. When you're engaged with Masked Hunter, you cannot spend or discover clues. Who would want to do that? So I'm going to have to deal with him. Hopefully I can pull pretty good and just get 3 bullets in him real quick, but let's see what I might want to commit to make that happen. We got some options. All right, and now we draw the top encounter card. It is a Disciple of the Devourer. All right, he goes to the farthest empty location. He's going to get a Doom on him, and if I had a clue, I'd have to put one of my clues on its location, but I do not. And again, I think we're just going to keep loading up here and hope for some Dynamite Blast to make all those guys go away. I'm going to... Oh, I also get a resource because the Masked Hunter is engaged with me. This is where Zoey's cross, so it'd be really nice. But that is not in the cards. See if I can't get a little lucky here. I think I'll just fire a couple of bullets and kind of see where I'm at. And then if they go well, then I might consider committing. I mean, I might even commit Enchanted Blade here. Just kind of looking at where I'm at. I mean, the Masked Hunter does 2 and 1. I don't have any allies in play, so I don't have anything in the way of soak. If you are only going to kill 2 enemies, for the sake of making the Devourer below a more palatable scenario, getting rid of the Hunter enemy is really important. And none of the Cultists are Hunters, except for either the Masked Hunter or Narragoth, who will be on top of the agenda. And making sure that you kill them is, again, I think, one of the more important aspects to come out of this scenario. So I'm going to need to get a little lucky here. And the bag's not awful. It's not great. There's only 1 Doom on the Disciple of the Devourer. I have no Doom, so the skull is only going to be a modifier of -1, so that helps since there's 2 of them in there. So I think we go with our 5 to a 4 for 2 damage, shooting the first bullet. Masked Hunter. Why are you masked? We get -2. Garbage. Okay, well that didn't go well. We will try it again. We're going to have to get lucky with one of these. You know it's going to be a -2 again. Just to taunt me for not committing the Gravedigger Shovel. 5 to a 4. Come on, Arkham. Don't hate me. -1. Gosh. So we get 2 damage. We're going to have to shoot another bullet. If I had the Enchanted Blade instead of the automatic, that would have been, it would have been so much nicer because it would have been a 6 to a 4.
Disciple has to go somewhere.
Disciple. Oh, yeah. Both of them do. You're right. You're totally right. Yeah, I screwed that up. Farthest empty location. Yeah, good catch. So he has to go there, and then he would have to go. I would have done that, and then this one has to go there. Yeah, that's totally cool. Thank you, sir. All right, I'm gonna shoot my last. No, I had 4 bullets. I already put the last one on. So I'm shooting at a 5 to a 4. The question is, do I want to commit the Gravedigger Shovel? I don't even know, man. I mean, I have to succeed the next 2. I'm out of bullets. All right, I'm gonna commit Gravedigger Shovel. Hold on to Enchanted Blade. 6 to a 4. I think I'm like 12 out of 16, if I'm not mistaken. The tablet's bad for me. The -3, the -4, and then the auto lose. So 0. Cool. All right. So he has 4 damage on him. We get to the enemy phase. He's gonna pop me for 2 and 1. So I'm up to 5 damage and 3 horror. And then we go to the upkeep phase. We draw a card. Shoot, does not have a combat icon. We take a resource. All right, meet those phase. We're going to put a Doom on the agenda. So this is the first Doom on agenda 2. We're drawing the top encounter card. It is the 3rd Hunting Shadow. Are you kidding me? Wow. Zoey's going to die from damage. That's like, this is the first. Yeah, well that sucks because then I can't even take an attack of opportunity. So I don't have a clue. So we're doing that, taking 2 more damage. They get 6 damage from 3 encounter cards, and I didn't have a choice. That's really gross. Oh, I need a soak so bad. We'll have fine clothes here. I think I'm going to try to... this is fine clothes. I guess I try to shoot him first. If that doesn't work, I'm going to try to evade him. And hopefully that will work, because then I can put Enchanted Blade in, because I do have the 3 resources. So let me try to get lucky here. I'm not going to commit the Enchanted Blade. Doing 5 to a 4. One time. Give me an Elder Sun. -1. Whee! Alright, Masked Hunter is down. Alright, that was some clean living. I can't complain about pulling bed anymore. That was really nice. So that's my first action. Second action, I'm gonna put, I need some damage soak and horror soak, I guess. Second action, let me move back to Rivertown. Third action is I'm putting the Enchanted Blade in. Enchanted Blade takes up an arcane slot as well as a hand slot. Cool. All right. Now that comes in with 3 charges. It is fight. So this is a Circle Undone card. It has a fight ability. So you get +1 for this attack. Generally, as an additional cost to initiate this ability, you may spend 1 charge to empower the blade. If you do, because who doesn't want an empowered blade, you get +1 combat and +1 damage for this attack. Now again, this is a Mystic and a Guardian card, but because I can take all Guardian cards, it does not count against my splash. Right, so that could matter. There's like one of the things I talk about, the taboo list and stuff. At the end of every cycle, FFG publishes a new, it's a FAQ errata and a the taboo list, and in there it has all these like things. And one of the things that you'll find in there is instructions on how certain things interact with deck building restrictions, which can be really helpful. So I'd always recommend. The last one I saw that was published was after this, because there was such a delay before the final mythos pack for the Dream Eaters campaign. They just released it early, so it was after the 7th scenario for Dream Eaters that it came out, and it had updated, and the date on there is wrong too. I think it's like the wrong year, but I definitely recommend checking that out. Yeah, if you haven't yet, and understanding what the taboo list is and why it is what it is. All right, so wait, so I killed him, I moved, I put my Enchanted Blade in play. We're good. Enemy phase, upkeep phase. I'm drawing a card. We get something worth fighting for, and we get a resource. Mythos phase, we're putting the second Doom on the agenda. That is the third Doom in play because we have the Disciple of the Devourer down here. Remember, the Doom that was on this guy went away when the agenda advanced. So we're taking the top encounter card. What is it? Locked door. Attached to the location with the most clues without a locked door attached. The attached location cannot be investigated. You can test for combat or for agility to try to undo that. Ooh, I can get 2 more bullets on my gun. I don't hate that. Definitely don't hate that. I guess the real question is, am I going to try to go deal with this Devourer, the Disciple of Devourer, or am I just going to understand that I have 1 less round? I mean, realistically, I want to kill Wolfman. I haven't seen my Dynamite Blast. I mean, I can't assume I'm going to pick it up at any point. So, like, both of those are strat value 4s, which is gross. If I go to the hospital, it could be the hospital allows me to heal 3 damage, so there's that. But I don't have any great way to fight him other than using one of my charges for Enchanted Blade, which isn't that exciting. Alright, we're going to put this up here. And now I have a decision. So now I'm going to put it on downtown. If I'm going to investigate either of these two, I'm more likely to investigate East Town, just because there's no bad dudes there. If I go kill the Disciple, it buys me another round. Problem is, from a movement standpoint, it's really inefficient. 1-2 kill. I can always get more bullets on my gun. Definitely don't want to do a 4 to a 3. Yeah, let me do this. I'm going to move to south side. So search your deck for an ally asset, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck, limit once per game. Yes, Ma's Boarding House. So that's a strat value of 2, a clue value 1, and we all know who I want, so I am going to do that right now. I'm going to get my friend Lita. Where are you, Lita? She was buried in the middle of my deck, and then with my last action, I'm going to put her in play because I really need that damage and horror soak. Plus the combat boost is nice. So that's my third action. We are good. So I put that token there to indicate I've done that once per game ability, and we'll go from there. So obviously I'm committed to killing the Disciple of the Devourer, and I should have enough time to get back up here and at least kill Wolfman Drew. Maybe outside chance of getting 2 more clues and trying to get another cultist in play. Again, if I can defeat 4 total, that's a really, really good run through, especially considering how lucky I got with the Masked Hunter there. All right, so enemy phase, nothing. Upkeep phase, we're drawing a card. Elusive, love that card. Taking a resource. Mythos phase, we're putting the third Doom on the agenda, which is going to be the 4th in play. Drawing the top encounter card. What do we get? Another Disciple of the Devourer, because we're going to get all of them. All right, farthest empty location. So 1, 2, this is 3 away, but it's not empty. Thank you for Steve calling me out like he should. This is 2 away, but it's empty. I want to go there anyway. So I guess we're putting, oh, so gross. We're going to put him here. He gets a Doom. So we're going to kill this guy and then have to go kill that guy. So there's 5 Doom in play. So rough. We're going to move here. I engage with, oh man, these one house, this is where if I had Zoe's Cross, like this would be so much better. So we're gonna go to, oh, I didn't read Southside. Southside is Ma's boarding house. Middle-class homes with gambreled roofs crowd together between the streets of Southside. The neighborhood is known for its cultural and social landmarks, such as South Church, Ma's boarding house, and the Historical Society. Ma's is famous for its cheap rooms and mystery meat. Mondays, gross. A motley variety of characters can be found coming and going at all times of day. St. Mary's Hospital, Arkham's only hospital. St. Mary's has a 24-hour receiving room and is busy at all hours of the night. Dr. Mortimer and Nurse Sharon have been particularly stressed lately, thanks in part to recent events. An extended stay at St. Mary's can do wonders for the body, but its effect on one's psyche is unclear. So we have it has a shroud of 2, a clue value of 2. This guy engages with me. When that happens, I get a resource. Again, if I had Zoe's Cross, I could immediately turn around and whack it across the head like it deserves. So I have the +1 fight because of Lita. Each investigator at my location gets +1 fight. So I think I'm just going to do a 5 to a 3 instead of wasting the Enchanted Blade here. I think that just makes the most sense. Maybe not. Maybe I just... Oh, you know what? I can use the Enchanted Blade without empowering it. So it actually gives me a 6 to a 3. So I'm not going to empower it. I'm doing a 6 to a 3. I'm like 14 out of 16 to succeed, which guarantees the tentacles. So we get -4. I didn't get the tentacles. I got the -4. All right, we're going to do this again. Take 2. That's my last action for the turn. We're doing a 6 to a 3. Oh, man. Here's the tentacles. -2. All right, this dude's dead, so this doom comes off. And he goes away. So what do we got now? So I want to get up there. I just don't see how I'm getting 2 more clues, to be honest with you. But that's fine. Enemy phase, upkeep phase. I'm going to draw a card. We get the beat cop, and we take a resource. Mythos phase, the 4th doom on the agenda. That is the 5th in play, and we're drawing the top encounter card. It is Obscuring Fog. Attached to your location. Attached location gets +2 shroud. Do not hate that. All right, I want to kill this guy now. So I'm gonna. It's a little like wasteful with elusive here, but it's gonna save me 2 actions. So I'm gonna play elusive for 2. Now you can play elusive even if you're not engaged with an enemy. Fast. Play only during your turn. Disengage from each enemy engaged with you. There are none, and move to a revealed location with no enemies. So I'm gonna move to Rivertown, and that's a fast action. So I basically move 2 for the price of 0, which is great. I'm now going to move to Easttown. Disciple of the Devourer engages with me. I'm going to get a resource because Zoe is magical. And then I'm going to attack with an attack of 6. Again, using the Enchanted Blade and not boosting it. Wolfman only does damage. He's not a monster. All right, that's fine. So I'm attacking with an attack of 6 to a 3. We get the Elder Sign. So 2 damage. We only need 1. Dude is dead skis. All right, so that doom comes off, which is great. So now we only have 4 doom in play. That was 2 actions. I have 1 more action. I have no more hand slots. I think can't move there. It's just gonna whack me for 2. That doesn't make any sense. I guess I'll just do this. I could draw a card. I'm getting, as we get toward the end of the scenario, I am hesitant to getting Smite the Wicked, though, because then I'd be risking a mental trauma, which going into the last round with 2 mental trauma on my investigator when I have Mark Harrigan coming up is a bad idea. So maybe going through my deck aggressively isn't the greatest idea, although I don't know. I don't know if I really need 2 more ammo on my gun here. I'll draw a card. You know it's going to be Smite the Wicked. Daring. Cool. I like it. Enemy phase, upkeep phase, drawing a card. Evidence. Ooh, that makes life a little more interesting. Trying to think if there's any way I'm getting 2 clues here. Of course, I have the locked door there. It's going to make that hard. I do have a perception in my hand. All right, we'll see. So, took a card, get a resource, Mythos phase. try to leave this out so you all can see what's going on with my hand. We have the 5th Doom on the agenda, only the 5th in play because I've killed the Devourers. Masked Horrors. Each investigator with 2 or more clues takes 2 horror. If no horror is dealt by this effect, place 1 Doom on the current agenda. This effect can cause the current agenda to advance. Hot Hoth, Hot Hoth, Hot Hoth. Yeah, so there's 2 of these that are added in the return to. They're both pretty nasty. So again, I don't get the 2 horror, but I do have to put another Doom on the agenda. So obviously, our hopes and dreams of getting another guy out there is probably not going to happen. We're pretty much looking at doing these 3 and just calling it a day, which again is going to make the next scenario that much harder. But just kind of how it worked out. So look, I'm going to move. I engage with Mr. Wolfman. He is going to, I get a resource because of that. I'm going to attack with the Enchanted Blade. I am empowering it. So I have a 4 plus 1 because of Lita, plus the 1 because of Enchanted Blade, plus the additional 1 because I empowered it. I'm doing a 7 to a 4. I'm going to commit Beat Cop because I want to negate the, no, I'm going to commit. Let me commence. Yeah, commit Beat Cop. I'll do an 8 to a 4. So now we're 15 out of 16 to win. For 2 damage, this is my second action. -1, so we get 2 damage on Mr. Wolfman. And I have to show respect for my Wolfman here. Then I'm going to do, I wish he was a monster. I mean, no, he's not a monster. He's a Wolfman. Come on. Like, if he's a monster, then Lita's thing would trigger. That's fine. So Enchanted Blade. Again, so we're doing the same math. It's a 7 to a 4. I'm going to commit Daring. That's going to give me a billion to a 4. But I really just want to make sure we succeed here. And -1. Cool. So I do draw a card because of Daring. It does not Smite the Wicked, which is good. I will play this just because. So he's dead. Wolfman's going to go in our little victory display here, along with the Masked Hunter and Mr. Collins. So you haven't seen any of the new Cultists, which is a little unfortunate. I'm playing 1. I'm playing Evidence for 1. Oh, I don't even think I took the resource when I engaged Wolfman. I don't know. I have tons of resources. Somebody tell me if I did. So I played Evidence. Evidence, it says, just as I suspected, fast after you defeat an enemy, discover 1 clue at your location. I discovered this clue. So again, Locked Door says the attached location cannot be investigated, but it doesn't mean that clues can't be discovered. So it's a distinction that has some import at times, such as now. So I do wish I put this here, because then I could potentially, with Unexpected Courage, Perception, and Flashlight, I would be able to get that off. But we'll see. I still might be able to get that 1 victory point before I resign next round. So hopefully that will work out. So enemy phase is done. Upkeep phase, I'm drawn to the flame. Oh, all right. Well, that's another way to get that clue. I take that card. I get a resource. And we go to the Mythos phase, and hopefully this doesn't add Doom, because then we won't be able to resign. Mask of Hot Hoth. Attached to the farthest cultist enemy. So this is a disciple of the Devourer. Again, this is from the Devourer's cult encounter set. We're going to add a Doom to him, but again, we don't have to recheck the Doom threshold, which is nice. This is not an effect that can cause the agenda to advance. If there are no cultist enemies in play, search the encounter deck. If there are, we can ignore that. Attached enemy gets +2 health, so this Devourer will now have 3 health, not just 1. And if attached enemy is not unique, it gains Aloof. If attached enemy is unique, it gains Retaliate. So he's not unique, so now this disciple is just Aloof, which is fine. I think it just makes sense. The problem is, if I play Drawn to the Flame and I get one of those things that can make me recheck the Doom threshold, that's going to be really bad. But I really don't, I guess I don't see another way. I could try to test this, pick the lock, and then maybe do this, but then if I fail that, then I'm stuck and I won't have the action left to resign. So I think I just go for it at this point. So I'm going to play Drawn to the Flame, draw the top card of the encounter deck. Do not make it advance. Crypt Chill. Fine. So I have to test this. I'm testing a 4. I will commit Unexpected Courage. I mean, it doesn't really matter. But I'll commit Unexpected Courage. I'm going to 6 to a 4. I got a -1, so I succeed. And then, so So draw to the flame, draw the top card of the counter deck, then discover 2 clues from your location. We live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far. H.P. Lovecraft, The Call of Cthulhu. So again, I'm obviously only getting 1 clue at my location because there's only 1 left. That is my first action. My second action, I will resign and cut my losses. The other cultists that were here, we have Victoria, who's one of the originals. Peter Warren's one of the originals. Billy Cooper is really interesting. He actually spawns in Easttown. He's a pain to fight, but if you kill a monster enemy at his location, he also goes away, which is really a nice mechanic. So you basically would have to get either a Night Gaunt or Nagaroth. You'd have to get him into Easttown to kill him there and just try to make that work. So the other 2, like one of the other cultists from the Return to is like your neighbor. It's like Jeremiah or something. And then there's like some old lady that you have to punch in the face, which is kind of, disturbing. But she's a cultist, man. I mean, it is what it is. Don't be a cultist. You won't get punched in the face, I guess. So that's that. So we got Zoey. We got 3. That's good. I mean, that's probably, a moderate result. I love getting 4. Because, again, you get 4. You start with 1 less doom on the agenda in scenario. In scenario 3. Plans for XP. I don't know. I mean, my XP situation right now isn't awful. I still have 1 clue there, which is unfortunate. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to get 6 XP. I might try to get the upgraded automatic. I might. There's a couple. I mean, look, with knowing what's coming in the next scenario, I mean, there's an argument to get the laser gun, which is bananas. Again, there's 2 ways to win the 3rd scenario, and it's a little problematic. But if I do need to kill the Mr. Umhathoth, having something that can do chunk damage like a laser gun, and just hopefully having it at the right time is good. The biggest problem with planning for scenario 3 is that similar to scenario 1, but even worse. There are so many things that just attack the cards in your hand. So if you're trying to hold on to a card for the right time, often you don't have that card anymore by the time you would want to use it because of the various treachery cards and how they interact with your hand in that scenario. So I have no expectation that the next scenario is going to go fairly well. It's a tough scenario. I beat it once through solo, I think, and I think Norman, maybe Silas, I don't know, I forget who, but I mean, things have to go your way. I have beat it cooperative. Actually, Steve and I had a really epic playthrough of it where I was telling him all day, and I don't remember who he was, but it was I think he was Rita, if I'm not mistaken. So that was pretty awesome. So let me get to just the integrated camera here while we wrap up. But that's it. What's my card pool? My card pool is everything because my card pool is everything. I have everything that's been released. I'm making sure of there's not like something that's still coming. No, everything I just got the investigator decks. I haven't put them in my card pool yet, but I just got those. But yeah, I'm all the way through Dream Eaters. And I have a pre-order in for the Innsmouth Conspiracy, which again, as I said earlier, I'm probably going to call my collection quits after this next cycle. That's about it. But check out, someone asked about Jagged Earth before. That was my last video Sunday. I'm working hard to get my Jagged Earth spirits out, like 2 or 3 a month for the next few months, because I love it. I love it a lot. So we did Stones and Unyielding Defiance. Sunday, I'm going to do a live playthrough in 2 weeks as Downpour Drenches the World. I'm excited about that. It's going to be against level 3 Russia, and then I'm going to figure out from there how I want to get this on the channel. My live playthrough 4 weeks from now, I'm going to do my first Shades of Tesla live playthrough on the channel. First Shades of Tesla playthrough period on the channel, so look forward to that. I do have another taped Mage Night coming up of a Solo Conquest 9/11. I think with the levels that I went for in that one, so that'll be fun. And that's about it. I always say this: go on my Patreon page. I have a public post. I do a weekly post that's only for patrons, but I do a public post every week every month. I'm sorry, right around the end of the previous month or the beginning of that month, where I put the entire schedule so you can see what's coming up and when and what my plans are for not only that month but also a loose idea of my plans for the following month. Things can change. Obviously, Jagged Earth came, and obviously it was let's get that on the channel as soon as possible. But yeah, I love doing this. Downpour is amazing. All right, cool. I played with him once, and kind of struggled through it. Got a win on the we had an event card that went our way. Otherwise, we were toast. But it was really fun. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it will be a good matchup against Russia too, by just using that mechanic that can reduce some of the combat, because the 2 damage that can be done by every freaking explorer is such a giant pain. Any chance we get to see a lightning gun? Yes. I think that's what I call it. I think I called it a laser gun, a lightning gun. Yeah, I think I gotta look at it again, because always the hesitancy is like, do you want to go more balanced? Do I spread that 6 XP? Do I get the upgraded B cop? Do I get the upgraded 45? Or do I just spend all that XP in one card and be like, this is it. This is going to be the card that makes it or breaks it, and hopefully get it at the right time. So, it is what it is. But again, I really appreciate it. Upgraded Enchanted Blade. I don't know if I've ever used that one, to be honest. I think I've looked at it and just find the regular so good that I never really feel the need. But I'll definitely take a look at it, man. I appreciate the plug for that, for sure. Dude, I love doing these. Thanks everyone for joining me. We will be back. It's going to be a little bit of a break because Jagged Earth is kind of throwing my schedule off a little bit. But 6 weeks, we'll finish off Night of the Zealot. And I do want to start the Dunwich Legacy, and I think I'm going to go with the Survivor class. It's probably my favorite class, top to bottom. True solo, I think the best class is Mystic, but just fun of playing, I think Survivor class is my favorite class, top to bottom. There's so many interesting characters in there, so I'll probably look at doing that, and we can start that sometime, a couple weeks after we finish off this, this Return to the Night of the Zealot campaign. So that's it. Guardians, yes. Dude, I love the agency backup. It's so bananas, man. It's so freaking bananas. Agency backup is such a cool card. The crazy thing is it just costs the 7 resources to put it out, that it can be if you don't get it early and you don't get an emergency catch in there, it can be really problematic. Now obviously with Zoey, her research generation, you get enough enemies, you don't have to worry about it as much with her as some of the other Guardians. But yeah, that's about it. So look, I'll be back. Thanks as always, and until next time, happy gaming.